Oh my god. Okay. Great, this is not... Alright. I'm going to give it a minute to get some people in the chat. Or anyone, really. And then we can go. Ba-da-ba-da. Alright. Alright, alright, alright. You know what? I can't actually tell when anyone is watching this because the wave motion forwarding for this just has the chat room and does not have how many people are actually watching it. So that's cool. I'm going to be yelling into the void for a bit here. But at some point, this will get going. Okay. So I'm hoping that we've got some people in. Forwarding does not actually tell me if anyone is in here. So if you are in here, please make yourself known in the chat. I will be monitoring it during this, and I would love to get started. So, I am going to be going through a good chunk of the campaign. I've already done so on my Titan and on my Warlock. I started on a Hunter, but, I mean... we can start over. So, I'm going to be going with a Hunter, simply because it's the last class that I have not played yet. So we are clear. This is not amateur hour over here. I had... God, I think about 1,500 hours in Destiny 1. I genuinely love this game, and I love a lot of the very good and also sometimes very bad elements of the story that are in here. So, generally speaking, Titans are kind of more in the, like, Halo person, like, Master Chief sort of class, in terms of big armor, big Space Marine type. The actual fiction of them differs quite a bit from just standard Space Marine, but that's just generally the vibe they're going for. Hunters try to, like, do sort of like a bit of the, like, Space Western, Space Frontier vibe that you get generally. The main, like, Hunter character in the campaign is voiced by Nathan Fillion, and that's Cade Six, and well, I mean, Mal Reynolds is who anyone actually watching this would know him as. But that's kind of the vibe they go with them, of sort of like the dashing rogue, the loner types. And Warlocks are space wizards. I love Warlocks. Warlocks are great. Titan is my favorite, and I just love playing that the most. Hunter is kind of... I do like Hunters, but it is my least favorite as far as any of this goes. Yeah, no, Titan shoulders are... I don't know. I like the big, like a big armor plating sort of thing on these. The Warlocks tend to be more like robes. These Hunters tend to be more like a tossed together armor. These particular ones are very, very nice. You're meant to be starting Destiny 2 as a pre-existing Guardian. Someone who is already involved in the world and fighting against the darkness. So, Exos! I like Exos a lot. My Titan is an Exo. And what I did in Destiny 1 is I had an Exo Titan, and I had an Awoken Hunter, and I had a Human Warlock. I'm going to go with Awoken for the Hunter, simply because that is... I'm keeping the theme. I actually, you can import your character's appearance from Destiny 1. You can't really import anything else. What it does, essentially, is that it has a character creation date of, like, when you started your character in Destiny. And that's basically all it pulls forward, aside from the character's appearance. But what I've run into with a couple of these is that, the appearance doesn't translate as well as it should, for whatever reason. Like, it just doesn't, like, there's some aspect of it, like the character creator in Destiny 2 is just a little bit different than Destiny 1 in a way that doesn't jive with me. So I ended up deleting my Human Warlock and Awoken Hunter from the first game, and just basically remade them to make sure that they were how I wanted them to be. So, for the general fiction of Destiny, just so that we, like, you know what you're getting into over here, the very, very short of it is sometime in what would be the near future for us, humanity reaches Mars, and there is the Traveler, a large, like, extraterrestrial machine of sorts. And this sort of launches a, like, golden age of humanity. Basically, it's just like, this is humanity's true stretch out into the frontier. This is humanity doing what they were, quote-unquote, meant to do. Was it that? I think so. So all of this takes place after the collapse of humanity, where essentially, hey, it's a golden age for hundreds of years. Human beings, as an easy example, on average live for like 300 years now. And just everything about human lifespans, everything about human technology is just perfect and golden and amazing. So, at some point, the details are a little bit fuzzy. There's actually a very good video that a YouTuber named My Name is Bife put up that goes into exhaustive detail of all of the story of Destiny that you didn't really get in the first game, because they were exceedingly bad about conveying it through the actual gameplay. Just terrible in a lot of ways. They've done... I've played through the campaign twice in this. They've done a much, much better time. Like, they've just done it way better this time around. I love a lot of the stuff that they've changed in this. Just like top to bottom, it feels like a much better experience. Gameplay-wise, I have some issues, but, you know, let's get into this. The absolute short of it is that there is a last city of humanity that is underneath the protection of the Traveler, who is asleep because there's the Traveler. Basically, kind of treated like a god, but there's not a ton of the religious aspect. Guardians are empowered and get magic space powers, and additionally.
Can you tell me this is a practical joke?
Hi, Nathan Fillion.
It kills me to say it, but I would be really impressed.
Impressing you, Cade, is the easiest thing I'll do all day.
Let's get serious, people.
Zavala, this is my serious face. Can't you
Hi,
tell?
Nathan Fillion.
Hi, Cora. What have you got?
Hi, Lance Reddick.
Someone or something has sabotaged the Skyline defense.
I don't remember Icor's voice actor's name. Crap.
The last few hours. The sensor beyond the wall has gone dark.
Maybe it's just the storm. Maybe it's... What do the set feeds tell us?
So I will try and not talk too much over cutscenes, because they're fairly far and few between. But I actually do feel like they do a good job of conveying the story. And usually what will go on is I will go in more detail of whatever anything.
Battle stations!
So this is the Cabal. Out of the original Destiny, they were the only group of enemies that did not get, like, their own expansion or, like, any sort of raid content with them. So they're going in hard on it for Destiny 2. They're basically big space rhinos. They kind of look like Warhammer 40k Space Marines, but a little dialed back in terms of the armor. Definitely going for the same vibe, but toned back a little bit. Also, if there are any audio problems, like if the mixing is bad, I can mess with that in-game. So please just let me know if there's any problems. I can work with whatever. Look at all these big spaceships. They actually kind of lampshade this a bit, but a big, like, part of the mythology of the last city is when they were, like, constructing it was the construction of the wall. It's a wall, but it's, like, a symbolic defensive barrier, but also it's a literal defensive barrier. But everyone in this universe can, like, teleport and have spaceships. everyone can fly. Like, the implication, I guess, is like it pretty much just, hey, just like, oh, we have anti-aircraft guns, all sorts of just like, well, if ships come in, we've got stuff that can stop them. The walls are for ground troop movements and that stuff like that. Which, I mean, how good those how good were those walls? How'd that do for you guys?
Repeat, tower approach. This is City Hawk 723. Anyone home? No response on any channels. Even the emergency
Created characters always look just a little bit off compared to when I see them in the character creator. It always bugs me. Just like lighting and effects. But nah, she looks good. She looks close enough. So in Destiny 1, your character did have spoken lines. I believe it was different depending on both your race and your gender. Like human males, awoken males, and exo males all had different voice actors, and then there was another 3. So I think there was 6 voice actors. I'd have to... Honestly, there's so little spoken dialogue from your character in Destiny 1 that it's very hard for me to remember. Taken King onward, your Guardian is kind of a silent protagonist. And, Luke Smith was the lead designer for Taken King, and just after that went over very well, became the lead designer for Destiny 2. And that kind of seems to be... I don't know if it's him or someone else on the team, but that is a consistent... That seems to be the plan going forward. So, the area that we're in now is the tower. It was the, essentially like the hub and the, like, social space lobby area of the first game. And the opening of it is literally just like a... Well, you saw it in the cutscene. There used to be stuff here. Then the Cabal happened.
Cabal! This doesn't make sense. The Cabal conquer systems by blowing up planets. Whatever they want, it must be here, in the last city.
So, hunters get this nice little knife.
This is Commander Zavala. Civilians, report to evac points. Guardians, rendezvous in the plaza. Our city will not fall.
So, a nice thing about that knife from Destiny 1, not sure if it carried over to this, is that depending on where you hit the target with the knife, if you hit them in the head, the body, or the legs, it did different amounts of damage. It didn't count as like a critical attack on the head, but it did do more damage if you got them in the head. And moving over here.
Cade.
Hey, you two. Give me a sec. Zavala's doing the hero thing in the plaza. Me? I've got a date with whoever's behind this. It'll be a short date.
See, look at this. Everyone can just teleport in this universe. Why do we bother with walls? So, right here is something interesting. Something that Destiny 1 did very badly is just making you feel for the fact that the last city was, well, a city? Audio. Okay, yeah, let's try that. Basically, like, there were people walking around the tower, but it never really felt as though it was a living, breathing city. It never felt like there were... It just didn't feel like a city. It didn't feel lived in. It just felt like you were full of space wizards all doing stuff. So this right here is nice.
Ah, Saladin's young wolf. My armory is open to you. Follow the path from there. It will lead you through the hangar to the plaza. I'll take care of these people. If the Cabal want war, give them war.
So this is Shaxx. He oversees the Crucible, which is the PvP arena. And he's my favorite. I love him. He's real good. He gets this big sword, which I would love to talk about, but we need to actually play the game. Just one thing I want to point out is that that line that he gets is different depending on your character. If your account has not played Destiny before, it will just be like, Warlock, hello, or Hunter, hello. I played Rise of Iron, and Saladin's Young Wolf is a title that you get called in that because of stuff that you do. So I feel like that's a nice little detail. If you didn't play Rise of Iron, but did play the Taken King, I feel like maybe he calls you Hivebane, because that is something that he called you, because the Taken King expansion was all about the Hive. and you murdered their king. You did very good at that. And he called you that a lot, because he's a vendor that you talk to frequently. I would have preferred, honestly, if he just said Hivebane, because I would have more personal attachment to it. I don't know if he actually says that, though. I just kind of hope he does. Because I haven't been able to find anyone who played The Taken King, but not Rise of Iron. Man, it is a lot harder to both do this and talk than I expected it to be. Actually, no, I got some time. That sword on his back is called Razelighter. It was an exotic sword that you could get in the first game. Shaxx was the one that you would do the quest line to get that exotic sword. The gem in it, the big, like, orange gem, is the heart of the sword of the Taken King, Oryx, who is, like, the god king of the Hive. You killed him at the end of the first game. You killed him, like, double hard. And you take his sword, well, you take that chunk of the sword, and you get, like, a fairly extensive exotic quest, and can make it into either a solar damage version, Razelighter, or there is a void and arc damage type, which are the 3 damage types of just elemental stuff in this. It was a fairly extensive quest line, and it's really appropriate that Shaxx is the one that's hanging on to one of those swords in this. Man, there is so much backstory to this that I will try and dole out appropriately. But it's a little hard to do, just because in terms of, like, keeping everything in order and giving proper context, I guess, to put it. The short of it is, all of the Guardians, pretty much all of the main characters you see in this that are Guardians, that have, like, are granted power and light by the Traveler, have been alive for a couple hundred years at least. The beginning of the first game is you, as a Guardian, being found dead. Every single Guardian was already dead when they were found by their ghost. Their little Nolan North here.
They're elite, ruthless.
So, basically the start of the game is your ghost, who at that point was Peter Dinklage, but is now voiced by Nolan North, finding you and just, like, introducing you to how all of this world works. Very poorly. The opening game of Destiny 1 is very bad.
At any cost.
Crota's End, The Dark Below and House of Wolves are both a lot better about doling out story. The Taken King was, like, the good one. Like, the good one. If you were gonna play Destiny 1, which there's not a lot of point to do now, it would just be for the story. Hey, Zavala. So, respawning is an in-game thing, like, is an in-universe mechanic in Destiny. Guardians are functionally immortal in most scenarios. If they die, their ghost can resurrect them. Pretty much exactly like I just did to that, this player over here. So, you are found dead, you are resurrected, and in-universe, there are a lot of things that can permanently kill Guardians, but generally speaking, they will only go down if there is, like, extenuating circumstances, or if their ghost gets destroyed by some method, which is why your ghost is always hiding and either invisible or, like, not actually materialized. I'm a little fuzzy on that. It seems like they're not actually materialized. Like, they just kind of exist. Or, like, are tucked away in your backpack or something. So, but basically, there are... The enemy of the Traveler, as is described in Destiny 1, again, poorly, and in a lot of the lore for Destiny 1 in the Grimoire cards, which is something I can go into, is that what caused the collapse of human society was the Traveler... Basically, the Traveler's ancient enemy, the Darkness, only ever really referred to as the Darkness, came and sent its minions. Which, technically speaking, every enemy race in the first game are called Minions of the Darkness, whether or not they directly serve the Darkness. The Hive directly serve the Darkness through gods and things like that, and worship it. The Vex seem to want to accept power from it. The Fallen just want to steal stuff. I kind of hate the Fallen, but I kind of love the Fallen, because they kind of suck. But they suck in a way that's very endearing. Is that the Cabal are... This is the Cabal. They are an unstoppable military empire. The Hive worship dark gods. The Vex have a lot of time travel stuff that is horrifying in some of the ways that it gets presented. The Fallen are just like... The Traveler visited the Fallen at some point and bestowed its gifts upon them. And at some point, the Traveler... I'm paraphrasing here, but the way that it's presented is the Traveler decided the Fallen sucked, so it stopped giving them its gifts. Yep. So basically, the Fallen from that point just sort of collapsed. They fell from grace and were not able to continue doing. They were not able to like flourish as a society anymore without being under the care of the Traveler. So they just go around stealing shit. They're scavengers, and they are enemies in this in the sense that they want to retake the Traveler. They want to steal the Great Machine back and just take its gifts since it will not offer them freely anymore. But like, they don't have. I never am able to take them as seriously of a threat as I can like the Cabal or the Hive or the Vex, because they're not great. They're not good at what they do. But I love them. They're endearing. They have a lot of charm to them. The Cabal basically had very little in the first game. Like, there was very little reason to care about them because they didn't have like a lot of story content. There wasn't much to do with them. I feel like they do a really good job fleshing them out with this. I thought that before the raid came out, and then I went into the raid, and I have a lot better of an idea of how Cabal society works after this. There's like some surprising depth to this game that really surprised me. Yeah, the Fallen are the ones that have 4 arms and are like scavengers. You'll see all of them probably before I'm done with this stream. The Fallen are... Hey, Sweeperbot. Don't mess with Sweeperbot.
Gone. Red Legion, you will take no more from us, and you will find no mercy in me.
So, Warlocks are good. The Nova Bomb, which is so good in this game. I love it. Amanda Holiday is not a Guardian. All like Zavala, Ikora, and Cade are all the Vanguard that are like the forefront of... I'm still a little iffy on how the structure of all this actually works, because they were very bad at explaining it in Destiny 1, and the way they explained it in some of like the Grimoire cards and stuff, which, by the way, okay, here's the thing. The Grimoire in Destiny 1 was essentially you would do activities and complete stuff, and then a little message would pop up and say, go to Bungie.net and find out more about that thing you just did. And that sucks. Like, having to, like, leave the game to then go to the website to dig around on the website to find the thing, like, find the story, like, it was a bad feeling. It was not a good way to do that. Here's the thing, though, is that all of the stuff in the Grimoire cards was really cool. Like, a lot of the best and most interesting story stuff that I've, like, read, like... A lot of really cool sci-fi stuff is in there. It's just they don't convey it well at all. It's not in the game. It's not in Destiny 1, and they do a much better job in Destiny 2 of bringing some of that across. Just like it feels like a lived-in universe in this. Like, it feels like there are people. It feels like there is something you're fighting for. I'm not really sure they do the story they're going for very well. Because basically Destiny 1 is a lot of the both marketing and the community around the game has become sort of like celebratory. Like at the end of like year 1 and 2 of Destiny, there was events called like Moments of Triumph. Like, here are these events that you should do in Destiny to be like, this is triumphant, this is what represents Destiny. And the final expansion is a bad way to put it. The final update for Destiny 1 was called Age of Triumph, and it was basically just playing into like the celebration of Guardians and heroism and pushing back against the darkness. Like, being heroes, like doing all of it. Oh, crap. Sorry, I backed out for a second there. I need to not hit that, sorry. Sorry about that. But it's basically like very celebratory of like your achievements and stuff like that, because they want to make the players feel good about what they've done. Because Destiny 1 always had a problem. It always had a problem of like rewards and like how it doled out achievement and stuff like that, and how it doled out gear. And the entirety of Destiny 1 was essentially making a more perfect system, and they just wanted the people who stuck with it to feel good, which I understand. But it did get pretty like just self-aggrandizing to a point, and I'll hold back on it, but there is some stuff that this story starts off with that I feel like is very much aware of the fact that Destiny 1, by the end of it, felt very self-aggrandizing of your deeds. It felt as though it understood what it had made mistakes on.
The shield generator should be at the bottom of the ship.
It felt... This game feels like, at the beginning of this, they know... In every respect, they know what Destiny 1's problems were, and work to improve upon it. And make it better. And the beginning of this story absolutely feels like they've nailed it, but, I don't know. By the end of it, I feel like it didn't... I feel like they maybe could have done a bit better. It's very fun, and I highly recommend this. Like, this is the good one. With one minor exception, that one Polygon review is absolutely accurate. This is Destiny without all the bullshit. This is 100% Destiny without all the bullshit. There is one thing that is kind of a large problem that I have with the game, but I can get into that later. Give me one moment. I need to check something. Okay. Because I just saw a chat room message for my stream, not on the Wave Motion side. Okay, cool. I don't see it over here. Alright, I'm just gonna trust... going forward. If you left a comment in the stream chat on Suribot and not Wave Motion Canon, I didn't see it, I'm sorry. Please either put it again, or just... I don't know. Thank you very much for watching, by the way. I like playing this a lot. I'm gonna try and work out the balance of actually playing the game versus talking about Destiny, but that is a very fine balance to manage. So these little guys over here, Scions... Hashtag lore. These little Scions over here, they are part of the Cabal, but the Cabal seems to be like it's not necessarily a conglomerate of races, it's basically just these big, like, elephant rhino men. But the Scions seem to be like a subservient or like slave race to them. I'm a little fuzzy on some of the details of it, but they are definitely a different species. Sort of playing off, in Halo, the Covenant were the alien, like, antagonistic forces for most of the games. But they weren't one alien race. They were like 5 different alien races that were sort of in like a religious coalition together, either forcefully added or voluntarily joining. So that was like how that. So this is Bungie going back to that sort of roots of it, because that was. Here's the secret: is before Destiny, I was a huge Halo nerd, mainly like back in like I'm gonna say like 2001 to 2006. Like, Halo 3 was kind of like a... Not Halo 3. ODST, I was very much, like, on board with everything that it was doing, and I still remember in, like, 2008, 2009, reading a new Halo novel while I was a freshman in college. But... Again, at a certain point, I just got bored, because they weren't really doing anything interesting with the story, and it kind of ended up relying a bit too much on Master Chief as a singular character. Which is part of why I like Destiny, is that there is a larger universe, and in theory, you're not one Guardian, you're not the chosen one, you're not the special one, you are one among many. Although in practice, because it's an MMO, you are in fact the chosen one. You're the one who killed every god, you've been on every raid, you've killed you're the best, everyone loves you. All these other Guardians are second fiddle to you who is the best. Which kind of sucks, I kind of don't like it. But there is a feeling of, like, I don't know, like, because raid groups are 6 Guardians, but it always manages to make it feel like, for example, in Taken King, Shaxx would talk to you, and you were the Hivebane. You killed Oryx. Those other 5 people, they were there, but you're the one that did it. And that's a little bit of the self-aggrandizing that I kind of... It never really bothered me in Destiny 1 all that much. I just kind of accepted it as, like, a silly thing. Because of just the nature of the game and the fact that they were fixing a lot of the elements of it. I'll get to why I'll get to more about that in a little bit. Because right now, we gotta save the day and be the big hero. But also there is some, like, they know what they're doing in a lot of this. I just wish they would play a bit more with it. Like, for example, in that cutscene back there with Amanda Holliday, I got that Guardian who won't shut up about. Like, yeah, no, it's me. I'm that Guardian. It's you, the player. You're the one that's special. So that's my golden gun. That little bar in the bottom left is the super. Basically it changes depending on your class ability. You saw Zavala's with the Titan bubble. That is for the Defender Titan and was my favorite subclass to play as in Destiny 1. Ikora is a Voidwalker Warlock with the Nova Bomb, and I am currently a Gunslinger Hunter. Each class, Hunter, Warlock, and Titan, have 3 separate subclasses. 2 of the subclasses in this game are the same as Destiny 1. They've just greatly altered how they worked. And the third one is an all-new subclass, which we'll get shortly. So a funny thing about this is that this is actually a lot easier than it was in the beta. There was this big spinning thing. If I recall correctly, there was 2 of those in the original, so you had to dodge both of them. But a lot of people were kind of getting stuck on it during the beta. Like, a lot of people were having trouble, correctly navigating over it for one reason or another. I also had a little bit of trouble. It moved faster, but they nerfed it, essentially, for the actual game. So the Traveler is that entity, that big ball over there, and it is ostensibly what gives Guardians their powers, and what gives them the ability to resurrect and come back. So this is some of the interesting stuff that I love some of this stuff about Destiny 2. Like, I love this presentation.
Guardian, something's wrong.
Do not look at me, creature. You are weak, undisciplined, cowering behind walls. You're not brave. You've merely forgotten the fear of death. Allow me to reacquaint you. Your kind never deserved the power you were given. I am Gaul, and your light is mine.
So I love everything about that. Everything about that sequence is great to me. 'Cause Gaul kind of has a point. What is bravery and heroism when you have no fear of death? What is courage when you know that you will be fine, to some extent? Because as a player, there are no stakes. Like, as a player, there is only the stakes of time and investment, whereas, as this goes, Guardians, generally speaking, can't die. Like, I died 3 or 4 times on the way to Gaul, and I just got right back up. So, that's, there's kind of, an argument to be had there, of, Guardians aren't brave, Guardians aren't courageous, Guardians aren't special. They're just powerful, and they don't have consequences for their actions to an extent. And I really like that presentation and that awareness. Oh no, the triangles. I don't know what this is. I have an idea of what this is, but I don't actually know what this is. That is the raid. That is the World Eater. That is the raid for this. These are indicative of the 3 new subclasses, Arcstrider, Dawnblade, and... Oh god, I'm blanking out. I don't remember what the Titan's called. Defender? Sentinel. Sorry, Arcstrider... But I feel like that's a really strong point to start the story on. Like, that it's very much aware of problems with the narrative and the narrative conceits of Destiny to start with. And I feel like it's super interesting just to go about it that way. Like, I feel like this is a really good premise. I kind of don't feel like they deliver on it at the very end, which is fine. So also, I should super be dead, because I just fell off a spaceship. Like, I just fell off a oh god, I'm so slow. Was it always this slow? Oh, I'm crouched. No, I'm not crouched. Oh boy, I'm very slow. But yeah, like, I should be dead. Like, come on. I love that he didn't even kick me. He just put his, like, boot against my head and just pushed. Just pushed. So, I have no power. All of my bones are probably broken. Take a look in here for a sec. Gun's busted. Armor's busted. Look, the galaxy feels smaller now. It's not a pleasant feeling. These grips were much more useful with the Traveler's Light. Every journey has its ups and downs. That's what you keep telling yourself, at least. Survival now depends on your ability to outrun the enemy. Before, you wouldn't have been caught dead with a tattered cloak. But that was before. I love these item descriptions, and I wish there was more of this in the game. Every single item gets something like this, but I wish there was just a little bit more detail. These in particular don't necessarily need it, because, like, you've seen the story of this gear. This is the story of the gear. That just happened. This is the story that happened to it. Exotic pieces of gear. There's multiple tier lists of this. There is common, which is the white-coated gear, which is what I have now. Above that... Okay. I apologize. I am connected to my controller with this mic because I'm streaming directly out of my PS4. And I keep pulling this cord out. Common is the most... It's garbage. It's absolute trash. It's just the only reason to... the only reason to use it is because you have nothing else. Uncommons are the next step above, which are green. Then there's rare gear, then there's legendary gear, and above that... by the end of the game, you should have legendary gear in every slot, but you can also get an exotic gear, either armor or weapons. And exotic gear has, in addition to just being good and having the standard effects, has some other effect on top of it that nothing else does, or at least nothing else does in the same way. So you can only have one piece of exotic armor equipped and one exotic gun equipped at any given time, one of each. You can't have two exotic guns, can't have two exotic pieces of armor. You can have one of each and that's it. So if you have an exotic helmet, you can't have an exotic chest at the same time. You need to swap out. Hey Nolan. Hey Ghost. I'm just gonna call him Ghost.
I can heal you, but I can't resurrect you. Not since.
Oh.
Guardian.
He's quivering like a little puppy. He's quivering like a tiny little puppy.
They've taken the city. The Traveler. Everything. The Red Legion is killing powerless Guardians. We have to get out of here.
So, as I mentioned before, a thing that would usually... Because Guardians do die. There is a long history of Guardians dying. Going back to Shaxx, way back when, the Crucible Quartermaster, with the big flaming sword on his back, it's really appropriate that they give him that sword, and also give him the sword. In the backstory of Destiny... Well, first off, the last city that we're leaving is the last city. There are small settlements here and there around Earth, but functionally speaking, this is the last bastion of humanity. There used to be villages and stuff like that, because during what they call the Dark Ages, when it was after the collapse, but before a lot of the really bad stuff arrived, like basically when it was just like, as far as I can tell, it was Fallen, and because the only enemies that have ever been on Earth specifically are Fallen. In the beginning of Destiny 1, they make a deal out of Hive being on Earth for the first time. But during the Dark Ages of, like, after the collapse... Oh.
These Guardians, they had no chance without their powers. That could be us. Guardian, if you die, I can't resurrect you. We need to be very careful.
So during when Guardians started like really gathering and forming and like basically organizing, there were pushes to take back some of humanity's strongholds. For example, the moon is completely taken over by the Hive. I'll show you the Hive when the Hive show up. Some very good Yamcha posts over here. If I could only put one into the craters. Oh. So I'll show you the Hive when they show up, but they're the dark gods, sort of like an insect race, kind of. A lot of their early concepts look more buggy, but they are specifically like they worship their worm gods and like cocoons, breeding pits, all of these like gross bug stuff. The Hive own the moon, basically. There's no humanity colonized pretty much the entirety of the solar system during the Golden Age, and now they are reduced to pretty much just the last city, and some people outside of the last city who say, I don't like the city. I don't like the city at all. But basically there was a large effort called the Battle of Burning Lake to retake the moon. Shaxx was there, and it was the first, as far as I can tell from like story content, the first like actual real encounter with the Hive, during which the Hive Knights that they have swords, which are blah 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 infused with darkness and such. And the way that they tell it in the backstory stuff is that this was one of the first instances where Guardians were dying and dying en masse. Just they like Hive swords killed them and they stayed dead. And the Grimoire card for the Raise Lighter in Destiny 1 was literally just Shaxx barging into a mission, like barging into like a I can't remember the exact name of it, but like the council essentially. There's a different name for it, but it's the council of humanity, so to speak, and just like, we barely survived the Battle of Burning Lake and you want us to go there again? We know nothing about these swords. We need to study them, train against them. And that's like the description, like the first time in Destiny 1 that there's a Destiny 1 like base game mission where you get a Hive sword, and it's like it's the highlight of base game Destiny before like raid content. And Shaxx overseeing giving out the swords, I think, is a neat little detail. And I'm glad they gave him a sword for this, because there's a bunch of stuff that will only matter to people like me who are overly obsessed with the content of this. Just, like, I love the story of all of this. I just really, truly wish that it was put into the game a lot better. Destiny 2 does a much better job about it, but the trade-off is that there's no Grimoire. You can view what would have been the Grimoire cards in Destiny 1 for exotic gear, and I think a couple pieces of legendary gear when you have them. Like, there's just a button that you can hit that literally says "Show Lore," and you can look at what would have been the Grimoire card. But that's not enough, because a lot of the Grimoire cards weren't just tied to gear. You would get them for finding dead ghosts, like a deactivated little of these guys. You would reactivate them and it would spawn a Grimoire card in your account, and they would be like some of them were like short stories. My favorite one from Destiny 1 actually is it's a mission report that the Cabal are sending back to Command that basically details a bunch of Cabal missions, and every time they ran into Guardians, basically it's just like Cabal patrol on Cabal team on standard patrol ran into Guardians, no survivors, and just like 5 or 6 instances of that. And one of them describes Guardians scavenging, doing acrobatics with light vehicles, and dancing. And just like the Cabal are like, this is garbage. This is we don't get this. But my favorite part of that is that they're describing how they would be able to kill Guardians, and they're like, we can't kill them because of their ghosts. Their ghosts pull them back up. Except the Cabal report.
Things must be worse than I thought.
Oh, the dogs are Cabal war beasts. They weren't in Destiny 1, but basically they're just basically they're war dogs. Like they're not like wild animals. They are specifically like bred and trained by the Cabal to hunt and kill. So they have razor blades, because that is literally armor that is stacked on top of them, to basically just be like, even if you like try to, you can't go over them, you can't go, because jumping over a dog that is charging at you, not maybe not a great tactic, but if you are like aerial or any sort of like acrobatics, like, because that dog could just charge into you and you just get blades up in you. But they're war dogs, and there's also like some in the raid there is like some like symbolism and stuff, sort of like in the way that I kind of feel like the Cabal have a very heavy like Roman Empire theme going on, with a lot of like basically just like space Roman Empire, which is kind of why they look similar to
Do you see, traveler?
Okay.
All that I have done.
I'm gonna have to diverge from that for a second, because
Take your place at the center of my empire.
see, I love this of Gaul.
And the Red Legion will be your true guardian.
I love this angle of Gaul saying you're not worthy, and then being like, because I'm worthy. Why am I not worthy? Why is the traveler not recognizing me?
Are being hunted,
I have the power.
and those foolish enough to remain have been executed. Victory, as with all things, is yours to claim.
This is like the first time we get like Cabal like talking.
Is as much yours as mine, old friend.
Like I love these little I love these, because there was a bit of this with the Hive and the Taken King, but it was basically just Oryx just being like, yes, carry my will out.
They call it the Traveler.
I would contend that other civilizations.
It's like the Fallen call it the Great Machine. That seems more accurate, my dude.
And exploited. As
Little
we have so
little more
clearly
accuracy over here.
Yet they believe it to be a god.
Dominus. We have spent our lives, you and I, working to
Okay, let me
reshape our society.
try and do something wrong here.
Reforge our people. Rebuild an empire nearly
that's gonna be a problem.
by Callus's greed and corruption.
Callus is the
Nothing in
current,
this universe
well,
greater than you.
technically former Cabal
The
Emperor.
Red Legion will have that machine's power. You will be called Emperor.
Okay.
What more would the Dominers have?
Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna get both of these chats on the same screen.
My guest.
Okay, so this dude who's gonna come down here is called the Speaker. He was an NPC in the first game, and he basically said like, I speak for the Traveler. He was clearly like a religious figure and a leader in the city, who didn't have a lot, didn't really say much. Basically, not at all important after the base game, and even really not that important in the base game, aside from being like, I am the Speaker. I speak for the Traveler. Of like, because the Traveler is their god deity thing is asleep, and there is no one. It cannot express its will, so the Speaker expresses the will of the Traveler for it, essentially, as far as they go on any of this. I like his mask. I like his design. He just was like a profoundly unimportant NPC, and is just like a large symptom of the fact that Destiny 1, just vanilla Destiny 1, was very poorly constructed in terms of a narrative.
Look, do you recognize it? That's where we're supposed to go.
That thing? They call it the Shard of the Traveler. I call it not a place you want to go poking around.
All right. So, if I recall correctly, this should put me in the farm right now, which is, the tower was the primary social space for Destiny 1, and the farm was something they showed off a fair amount of in the pre-release for Destiny 2, as being the new social space. And it's good, because I like the farm. The farm is very nice. It's a lovely... The one thing that Destiny does, like... There is no contest There's no argument, there is no discussion that nobody does skyboxes better than Bungie. Because the stuff in Destiny 1 was breathtaking, and it's still really damn good in Destiny 2. If I plan to continue, I basically plan to do the whole campaign. Not today, it'll take too long. I could maybe finish it next week, depending on how fast I actually go through this. There is something at the end of Destiny 2 that is the most gorgeous skybox I've ever seen in my life.
I'm glad to see you safe.
Time to grab this.
Tyra Karn. I'm sorry.
Tyra Karn was in Rise of Iron. She was the Cryptarch back then.
Connection to the light has been disoriented.
So yeah, we've met before. A bunch of dialogue in this game is different depending on if you have an existing account or not. I haven't seen a lot of the non-existing. I haven't seen a lot of the original stuff, like stuff that is if you didn't play Destiny 1 and your account did not carry over, because everyone who like plays this game, everyone who's doing like YouTube stuff, played all of it. I could maybe go later and check on I don't know. It's hard to say. I could make another PlayStation account and maybe like go check out some early game stuff, but I'm not gonna be able to figure out. I'm not gonna be able to like just do the Taken King and then figure out like how the lines are different then, because like if you did the Taken King but didn't do Rise of Iron, you wouldn't know Tyra. So what I can do right now is, so they changed this pretty drastically from how this worked in Destiny 1, but I can just take a bunch of stuff, because this is the vault, this is the storage for all my other characters, so I can just take a bunch of this. Oh no, I'm storing it again. I can just take a bunch of this out, but a bunch of it has level requirements, like C requires level 20. I'm going to grab this Sparrow though, and I'm going to grab this ship, because they're good and I like them. Give me this, give me this. When we get higher up in the levels, I can grab a couple of these guns and expedite my power a little bit quicker. So. That looks very bad right now. I'll worry about that later. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Could have kept the stubborn oak, but oh well. This will all get replaced soon enough. Destiny's loop is very much shredding gear, just constantly.
Civilization. For me, at least. Of course, I've been living outside the city half my life. So
you might have seen it, but there was a very amusing bug with this this hawk over here that I think has been fixed, where it would just whenever the hawk got too far behind Soraya over here, it would stop rendering part of the hawk. But because the rest of the hawk was visible, it would continue to try and render the hawk. So it would basically just like jitter back and forth wildly, just wildly, and just be like just a very amusing looking vibrating hawk. If you go like a week back in Griffin McElroy's Twitter, that is the video that spread around it. It stopped doing that fairly recently though. Like, basically, like, I think the first patch fixed it, like, accidentally, or maybe intentionally. I'm not really sure. So, this is the nicest quality of life improvement of the entire game, as far as I'm concerned. This is the director, and this is how you go to different zones. So, what used to be to get to the director is, I'm going to not do it to save time, but you'd have to hold triangle to return to orbit. You would then go to orbit, and then from orbit, you could select where you wanted to go. Then you would go into another loading screen as it loaded into whatever zone you wanted to do. And it was nightmarish. I've probably lost dozens of hours. It does not feel like an unreasonable statement to say dozens and dozens of that 1,500 hours of Destiny 1 is just lost in loading screens and waiting to just waiting to go. Okay, so I'm not supposed to have a Sparrow until after the game, so I will be able to zoom through a couple areas in a way that is not intended. Oh, wait, okay. One other thing I forgot. I forgot to do this. So, emotes are part of the monetization scheme, let's say, the monetization strategy for the... Oh, I can level 16, but that would be 10 legendary shards. I don't want to waste that. Basically, as part of the loot packages you can buy, sometimes these come out. But also in this game, after you hit level 20, you stop leveling up, and all of your level is gear. My dude, I played 1,500 hours of Destiny 1, and it was... If I was going to orbit and then coming back, that was probably 30 to 40 seconds of load time, like almost any time I wanted to go anywhere else. It would have to be. Like, it would actually absolutely have to be dozens of hours that I spent on load screens, which is fine. I have a phone. I can do other stuff. I didn't just stare at the screen and do nothing. But these are all like a... So I don't really like this, but how this worked in Destiny 1 as well is that you get one emote slot, and it is the left on the D-pad, and that is the emote you have there. You always have wave, you always have sit, and you always have dance. The dance depends on both your character's gender and also the character's species. I don't know exactly which is which in this, but I know in the first game, like, if you were an exo male versus an exo female, you would get a different dance. Also, the emotes are just different from class to class. Like, the wave for the Titan is different than the wave for the Hunter. The Titan sort of does, like, a one-handed salute and then sort of clenches their fist, which I like. But you can customize only the one slot, which I think sucks. But it's not a huge deal. So, I got this one out of a... sorry, I was saying this. As you level up past 20, your level stays at 20. You basically just have an experience bar that continues. When that fills up, you get a... basically, you get this game's equivalent of a loot box. So, if you're playing regularly, you can probably get, like, 7 or 8 of those a week without paying anything. It's hard to say, just depending on, like, the actual speed of stuff. I got this one, which I love. It's very good. That's extremely good. I can preview a bunch of them later when we're actually in the thing. I'm gonna do... I'm gonna start missions on this. So, like, this load screen to orbit is a lot faster than it was in Destiny 1. But what you're seeing now was essentially I'd have to do, like, this thing that's happening right here is one load screen, essentially. Also, this is a ship that I have from a different character. It's not the default ship, which is why it's all shiny and nice.
Sure you want to do this? That shard is the reason this place is called a dead zone.
We have to, Hawthorne. It's a sign.
Yeah, a sign that says the dead zone.
It's such a dumb line. There's a lot of lines that are just dumb that I adore. They're just very silly. Alright. So, this is the European Dead Zone, which is one of the new areas.
All over the EDZ. Charming enough. I mean, nothing says come visit like a dark haunted forest.
But non-guardians aren't supposed to leave the city.
There's a small gap in the wall.
Oh,
Hard to see,
ran
but
too
it's
fast.
there. Here's the thing about city rules. They stop applying once you leave the city.
I like Tired Nolan North. I like this little shivering puppy, Ghost. He's so small and scared. So, let me talk about how the weapons work in this. Because you're shredding gear constantly, just all the time, how this works is that there's a couple different archetypes of gun. I can't really show you all of them right now. Just here's an example of a pulse rifle. This is a burst fire. One pull of the trigger, 3 shots. Other ones have different numbers. Some of them have... in Destiny 1, some of them had 4. There's apparently one in Destiny 2 that has 5 shots per trigger pull. This is a start of the game gun, so it's not very good. But let's just... So this is how fast I can fire just mashing on the button. and it demonstrates in here that it has a rate of rounds per minute of 540. So this is probably the easiest way to distinguish between different archetypes of gun. Because there are different types of weapons. For example, hand cannon is just a powerful pistol. And that is clearly different than a pulse rifle. But there are subcategories within those guns of different archetypes. For example, there are pulse rifles that fire much slower, but do more damage. And there are pulse rifles that, like, basically there's probably, I don't know in Destiny 2, but in Destiny 1 there was maybe 5 or 6 different tiers of speed. I want to say it was 4, but 5 or 6 sounds more correct, going by a couple that I am aware of. So basically it would go from the fastest firing to the slowest firing, and they would, basically the slower firing ones generally did more damage. Same goes for any of the weapons. Some of the auto rifles are just flat out bullet hoses.
Did you hear something?
So here are the Fallen. They're very nice. Also, this early sequence is a lot easier than it should be. But also, I'm just very good at timing with this. I know I've also done this sequence 3 times already, so I know exactly the timing for that.
Those Fallen weren't wearing any house colors we've seen before.
So, going off that line, the Fallen have a number of different houses that are under different branches of leadership. The main ones from the first game were House of Devils, House of Kings, House of Wolves, was part of an expansion. I'm definitely forgetting some. I can't remember the other ones right now. House Judgment was another one of them that was, basically House Judgment was kind of decimated and was overtaken, sort of taken in by, like a faction of... Actually, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure Varric, like, there's one specific NPC that might literally have been the last of House Judgment. I'd have to double check on that now that I think about it. Because there aren't really any other... No, there are other Fallen in the Reef. You just only ever talk to the one, Varric's.
Right out of our vision.
So this is a chunk of the Traveler that it had sort of sloughed off at some point during its... When it came to Earth, when it was trying to escape Earth, I'm unclear. Because, the entire lore of this is predicated on the fact that you are chosen by the Traveler to be one of its guardians. Like, it sent out its ghosts to, like, be warriors of light, to sort of, like, protect it, to save lives, do all good stuff. But there's a couple, like, Grimoire card things that imply that maybe the Traveler didn't make ghosts, that maybe humans kind of manufactured ghosts in some way, or sort of stole ghosts and light out of the Traveler as sort of a last-ditch effort to save themselves. Because the Traveler is heavily damaged on Earth. Like, we won't be able to see it for most of this game, but the bottom side of... The thing that it sells me on is that the Traveler is damaged, but it's most heavily damaged on the bottom. So wherever it was attacked from the bottom. So that, to me, indicates, and looks like some of the Grimoire cards suggest stuff that, maybe the Traveler was going to leave humans like it left, the Fallen, and that maybe humanity said no. And that maybe humanity is the reason that the Traveler is asleep, and there is implications that perhaps the ghosts were something that were manufactured, like literally pulling the light out of the Traveler to be a last-ditch effort for humanity. But that's all speculation on my part. That's not in the game. That is entirely in Grimoire cards from the first game, and maybe won't ever come up again ever again, because who knows. But, like, that's some of the kind of stuff that recontextualizes a lot of the game that I think is interesting in a way. Of, like, it's like, oh, there's this great deity, this great thing that chose us, and, like, no, it was gonna leave. Because y'all done fucked up. And it just... I like that as a storytelling conceit, but I can't actually say if it's reading too much into a Grimoire card or not. So the thing about Grimoire cards is that you couldn't read them on the Bungie site unless you had unlocked them by finding the thing in the game, which was another bit of a problem with it. There are websites, Ishtar Collective is the one that comes to mind, that just collects them for you. Because finding all of the ghosts is tedious, and you don't really need to do it, and it's a lot easier to just, they have them like categorized and organized to where, for example, if you want to find out more about House of Judgment, or you want to find out more about Zavala or Shaxx, you can search by the name. Or like, I want to see every Grimoire card that relates to the Vex, because I want to know what the deal is with the Vex. You can go to that site and search by stuff that is tagged by like that. It's not perfect. There's a couple things that I saw where, for example, the Grimoire card for the Razelighter, if I recall correctly, is not tagged with Shaxx, even though he is speaking during it. But it works pretty well and is honestly like the preferred method to read through the Grimoire, is to go to a different website and that somebody else has collected for you and do it. Like, a lot of the stuff about Destiny 1 is just really badly... It's just really badly put together in terms of the story. Like, all of the gameplay... Playing the game, what I'm doing right now, shooting bad guys and, like, doing it, all of this has always felt good from day one. But, like, the mission structure and mission design has... Fuck. Okay, so... There are areas in the game where it is a, like a darkness zone where you cannot revive. You cannot come back from the dead. Basically, just as a difficulty measure of saying, like, the darkness is oppressive in this area to the point that your ghost light would not be able to pull you back if you died here, unless another ghost was there to, like, funnel light into you. So, like, if somebody was with you to resurrect you, essentially. So, technically... that would just be a death. That would be a death right there in the fiction of the universe. But also, because I don't have my light, in the fiction of the universe, any Guardian that dies right now is dead for good. So it's basically just I mean, I'm playing a video game. I'm sure everyone would love to go off of, like, Hideo Kojima's old plan of, like, hey, if you lose the game, the cartridge destroys itself. Like, I'm sure that would be a fun experiment. But, like, even it's like, hey, if you die, you're dead for real, but it's a video game, I gotta be able to, like, start over. It just checkpoints me. But in the fiction, areas like that, where it says, like, no resurrection, even though I will have my light back pretty soon, very soon, in the fiction of the universe, there are still areas where even though I have my light, I would still die for real. I would die if I was killed, if I died in these zones. But right now it's just because I don't have any of my powers. Like, I don't have my grenades, I only have one jump.
I think we scared them away. Take me to the shard.
So I understand that for the purposes of gameplay, that you want to give the player, like, some stuff to work off of. Because right now I'm basically just not gaining any progress. I'm just kind of static. I am gaining a little bit of experience, but I'm not doing anything with it. So...
This is why we were led here. I haven't been as close to the Traveler's Light since... Do you feel it? Hold on to your helmet. Do you feel it? The light is back. We're back. Eyes up, Guardian.
So now I have my powers back. So that's kind of like, I get it, I understand. The video game needs to happen. But also I kind of would have liked it if I was powerless for a bit longer, if they played with that more. Because, here's the new subclass, by the way. Which they just give me these things so I can play around with. Where's the other one? Man, I really dig this Arc Strider. Okay. So now... There we go. Man, I just love how this feels. This, like, it's a spear, but it's basically just a staff. It's a staff that has pointy bits at the end. I mean, I guess that's all a spear actually is, but... Alright. So... Oh wait, I don't have to be afraid. That's actually a good thing that I just realized. In this section, it's no longer a darkness zone up top, so even though this is, like, story important, it's not a darkness zone. So I can come back if I die. So, how it works normally, even in single player... let me just die and I'll show you. See, this is canon. I'm dead. But just the function of Guardians is that in a normal scenario, Ghost can just pull me back up. Oh. Oh, it's a skip grenade. Oh, it's a pulse skip grenade. Oh, that's... okay. Alright, gotta keep that in mind. So the Hunter is kind of the fan-favorite class, from what I've seen. My favorite's the Titan, but everybody seems to love Hunters. And I kind of get it. They're probably some of the strongest design work in terms of just their general appearance. Like just the hood, the cloak, cape is a very good look. And also they kind of play to that sort of like a Mal Reynolds, Han Solo, like roguish type, especially with Nathan Fillion playing Cade 6. They play to that trope a lot. A lot of the gear in Destiny 1, actually, for Hunters... I wish I could remember the one offhand, but it's... Basically, a lot of it plays off the fact that they're trying to be, like, badass loners, but are just incredibly lonely, generally speaking, because they're out in the woods all the time, doing their own stuff. They don't sort of play... They don't sort of play with that as much as they could in the story, because you are your guardian. Your character isn't a character anymore, because it's you. It's you that you're playing as. So they don't really do a lot of narrative stuff with the... Oh, standing in front of somebody. So this is a warlock. This is a piece of exotic armor. And I have that on my warlock, because it looks fantastic. Alright. So the funny thing about this is that now that I have my light back, the social space is opened up, so all of these Guardians technically have their light back, but in this context of the story, none of these Guardians have their light back. I am the only Guardian with my light back. I'm the special one. I'm super... It's all me. I'm the chosen one. I'm the special boy. Also, one second, because I wanted to do this for earlier, but you can... I like having this to where your Guardian has their helmet and stuff. Oh man. See, this is what I was talking about the character creator. It looks different. Like, I wish you could test it under multiple lighting scenarios, because her face, like, the structure of it looks different for some reason. Like, it's very pronounced, like, lines on the sides of her cheeks. Yeah, it's fine. Flip that table. Don't emote at all. But narratively, no other Guardians have their light back. It's just me. So all of the story will be me going to other Guardians, like, and they're like, you have your light back? That's amazing. But, like, right now, if I wanted to, I could team up with another player and just, they would have their powers. Because that's how the video game works. And it's just a weird MMO conceit that, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. You need to have a video game. And some of the strongest parts of this whole series is playing with other players.
I have an entire crucible to officiate, Guardian.
I love Shax. Shax is the best. I'm gonna let Shax talk.
You and I walked together as the tower burned. And now, here you stand. Your light burns a path before us. And on that path, I see many battles ahead of you. Battles only you can win. The crucible of Lord Shax will prepare you. In my arena, should a Titan stand in your way, crush him. If a hunter confronts you, break her blade. If a warlock speaks, feed him his words. There is only one path to victory,
Shax is my favorite. Shax is my favorite. He's absolutely my favorite, just 100%. He was good in Destiny 1, but like with the Rise... I forget if it was Rise of Iron or like an earlier update. They basically let the voice actor have a lot more fun. And just... He's so much fun. I'll see if I can... maybe I'll do like a Crucible match to end this stream off when I'm done with some of the campaign. Just to see if I can do some good stuff and... see if I can get him to start yelling about how awesome you are. This is the one exception for that, is like, because when you are playing against other players and you do cool stuff, Shax is so excited for you. He is so hyped about how good you're doing. And it's just, I love it. It's great. That is the one exception where I'm like, it's a little self-aggrandizing. It's like, no, that's a real player. I killed that guy. I did that. Me. Like, that's the one exception where I'm good on that. Yeah. Crucible Gunsmith. Little Shack Spot. Little Shack Spot with his horns. I don't need to get any of this right now. What do I have for guns? Pulse 25, 25. Okay. 25, 21. Nope, this can go. Okay, shred this. I'll save that. I don't like this Lin Yu. I think it's a bad gun. So, how this works... okay, well, here's the class ability that I get. This is new to the game. Is double tapping circle, or in a couple instances for characters, holding circle, gives you an additional ability. And the Hunters is honestly kind of the worst. It was a very good skill in Destiny 1. It's called Shade Step. It basically, you did a dodge roll, and you would turn invisible for a couple seconds, and if there was anything tracking or homing on you, you would break that tracking. A player could still just shoot you, but you were temporarily invisible, and it was a very, very useful thing to have. And now Hunters just have it across the board. You don't turn invisible unless you're on one of these subclasses, though. At least I don't think you do. So, okay, so now, unfortunately, I do need to swap to this much worse-looking gear over here, because it's better. Such is the game. So now I look like this, which this is an all right look. I just don't like the hood because it's actually it's only an all right look because in the social spaces I have my helmet off. That looks bad. That looks bad. That helmet looks bad. But it's fine. I'll be replacing it soon enough. So let's talk to Hawthorne and get on the next mission so I can get farther in this campaign. I don't want to run through this too fast because
You got your life back. I don't know how you did it, but...
See? Like, I got the light back. Me.
Because we're gonna need it.
Nobody else did.
There are a lot
I did.
more survivors out
It was
there,
me.
and they need our help. We gotta get the word out that the farm is a safe haven. I sent a friend into the EDZ a few hours ago to set up a comm network. His name's Devram K. Good guy. Great shot. Don't
Hello,
tell him
Burb.
I said that. If
Hi,
you give
Lewis.
him a hand, I'd take it as a personal favor.
Lewis is a good bird. Why is she... You know what? This might be part of the reason why it was, like, buggy and weird. Because the bird's in front of her, but then for the... Yeah, she steps in front. It's a little weird. But it does show her stepping forward, so it's fine. God, this is nice. Okay. So, you see this map? There used to be a map for when you zoned into an area, but there was no map when you were actually in the area. If you were actually in the area, you just had to know where to go, or waypoints would guide you. And it was really bad. It was incredibly bad. Because there would be a waypoint for like, hey, go to the rocket yard. Or like a mission would say, hey, go to the rocket yard. And when you're zoning into the area on the map, you can see that it says, that's the rocket yard. But then when you're actually in the world, which way is the rocket yard? I don't know. It was just not... It was a very bad format for that. And I'm very happy that they have just a proper map in the game at this point. Just... There's so many things that Destiny 1 should have just had to start with. That, like... You play it... If somebody coming on Destiny 2 for the first time, I feel like, would just be like, yeah, no, of course, of course you'd have this in the game. But it's just not... They just did not put it there. I love this game. I really do. Like, my only problem, I'll get to it later because it will probably be something I can illustrate. much later in the game. Probably during this stream. But I'm going back and forth between a dozen different topics anyway. So I don't want to... if there'll be a point where I can illustrate it visually later, so I'll just save it for then. Loading, loading, loading. Loading, loading, loading. Okay. That symbol on screen is for the hunter. Oh, well, okay. That's sort of like a triple step thing, is a symbol for the hunter. Partially because, you see it's up here in the snake too. It's a little hard to see. But the main reason for that is because of their jump. At least the reason that I would suggest that it is because hunters, warlocks and titans both kind of get some variant of jet boots for how they move, whereas hunters just get a double jump. See, jump, double jump, and hunters can actually get a triple jump, which after you unlock the triple jump, never use anything else ever again. There's no reason to ever use anything else ever again after you have the triple jump. It's objectively the best. And also in Destiny 1, there was an exotic armor piece called the Bones of Eo? Ao? Ow? I don't know how to pronounce it. EO or AO is what I would always said. That gives on top of that... Basically, it gives you an extra jump if you're a hunter. So you could have a quadruple jump, which was incredibly nice.
A guest. Here I have no tea to serve. These are dire times indeed. Devram K, the 8th at your service.
The 8th? Get out of here with that.
Now I serve at the pleasure of my dear friend Suraya Hawthorne. First on the docket, contact other refugees and tell them of the farm. That means building a comm network from the ground up.
Alright, see, your first goal in this is, hey, talk to people, make sure we can get people safe.
Dare say you can handle a few rounds with the enemy. I've seen what Guardians can do. Right. I think it's time to let the guns do the talking now. Don't you?
I do. Alright, so where's that ghost shell? So this will detect treasure chests in the area, which is very nice. The enemy is moving against each other. So this is just a patrol zone. This is... I don't want to say it's a sandbox, because sandbox means... Bungie thinks that sandbox means something very particular when it comes to game design that I don't necessarily agree with. So that over there is a warlock with the Dawnblade, which is the new subclass for them. Okay, so what do I need to do? Right, this adventure. Okay, so this already is a new format, because it used to be just missions, and if you were in a patrol zone, you could go to patrol beacons, which were like this, and you'd get a small, repeatable, like a quest thing that was basically nothing, like, kill 10 of this enemy, kill 10 of this specific type of this enemy, find a bunch of stuff. So now, in addition to those, because those are still here, you have to unlock them later, there are quests that are just in the world that you can unlock that are with these sword beacon things, which I think look really good.
There's a banner on the main floor. Give it a look, will you?
So this was bugged for me earlier. Let's see if it's still bugged. Okay, let's see what Ghost has to say.
This is a House of Judgment sigil.
It's still bugged.
Used to work with a fallen who threw this banner.
Okay, so I've seen other people play this game, and it's not bugged for them. This is not a House of Judgment signal. This is not what the House of Judgment... This is not the icon for the House of Judgment. This is... House of Judgment's colors are green, and their sigil is kind of like a... It's basically like a diamond shape. This is not House Judgment. The point of this, and what the line is supposed to say here, and I have seen in other streams say it, is that they've never seen this banner before on Fallen, and they don't know what it is, because it's purple. And purple is not a color that is associated with any houses of Fallen that they're aware of. It seems to be like setting up for like a unified Fallen house that is in some later expansion. But that's bugged for me, and just me for some reason. Other people seem to get the proper line. I don't know why across all of my characters it gives the wrong line. It's probably a bug related to the fact that I have like a veteran account. I don't know. Because it's not House Judgment. It's just it's the wrong symbol. Wait, what? What? Is it asking me to look again? Oh, no. Okay. It's asking me to look at this one.
Devrim, where did this symbol come from?
I believe your city hunters must have put them here and there about the region as they scouted around. I think they meant it to mark something special. Or dangerous.
So this is the icon for a new repeatable content in the game called Lost Sectors. Adventures seem to be like just little mini quests they put in the world that have a lot of story content and you're running back and forth between them. Lost Sectors are static zones that you go in that has a mini-boss, and you kill the mini-boss and get the chest. They seem to refresh once a day, and there are tons of them. There are so many of them that you... Basically, it would be unreasonable to think that somebody would do all of them in one day, unless they just wanted to do it to be a shit, basically. Because there's no reason to. They're good, but there's other things you could be doing.
Fascinating. I believe tunnels and caves like the one you're in now stretch all across the EDZ. Who knows what's lurking down there? Be careful.
The melee attack is so much better in this game than it was in Destiny 1. It was fun, but it wasn't nearly as just murder efficient as it is in here. It's just very, very good. Especially on Titans that have some stuff that can buff the attack. Get wrecked.
I just snagged a key code from that captain. I think I can open his supply cache.
There we go. So, the Arc Strider, this subclass that I'm currently on for the Hunter, is a rework of the Arc-based subclass from the first game called Blade Dancer. Basically, the special was the super ability was more or less the same. It was a roaming super where you were doing melee attacks to a bunch of enemies. The range on it was a lot less. You basically just had a knife in your hand and were going about it. And also, the big feature of Blade Dancer in the first game was if you crouched in an area for a little bit of time, what would happen is that you would be able... one of the perk trees was that crouching for... It would have happened by now in Destiny 1, but you'd turn invisible for a short period of time, and you could run around, sneak up behind somebody, and just knife him in the back. There was also an ability where the...
Keep an eye out for other hidey holes and treasures like this one.
Alright, I've already got a fusion rifle. This is already a better run.
Come on back up to the church tower.
Okay, I'm just gonna shred all this, because there's no reason for any of it. Make space, dismantle gear. Get rid of all of this. Get rid of all of this. Can all go. Everything is temporary. Let go. Free yourself of the shackles of materialism. Get rid of all this. Okay. I hate sniper rifles. I'm really just... I don't like sniper rifles. And sniper rifles were okay in Destiny 1 for a lot of things, but making them a heavy weapon... because that's basically what it... Okay, so how... Let me go over how this worked in Destiny 1. In Destiny 1, you would have your primary, you would have your special weapon, and you would have your heavy weapon. Now it is kinetic, energy, and power. And functionally speaking, kinetic is... There are auto rifles, there are sidearms, pulse rifles, scout rifles, and hand cannons, which are all different, just gun types. Auto rifles are full auto, pulse rifles are 3-round burst, scout rifles are single shots, generally much farther range. A hand cannon is, well, a hand cannon. It's a big old pistol. Sidearms, in this game, are also a primary slot. They're basically just regular pistols, they're faster firing, they generally have slightly larger clips. And there is also submachine guns that can go into the Kinetic slot. So in this game, the energy slot is all of those exact same types of weapons. Every single one of them. Just they have an elemental damage burn on top of them. And then the heavy weapons are anything else. Power weapons, shotguns, fusion rifles. I'll show you what a fusion rifle does in a second. Swords, sniper rifles. Anything that was a heavy weapon in Destiny 1 is a power weapon here, and anything that was able to have a one-shot kill in Destiny, in the Crucible, in PvP, what that was a special weapon is now a heavy weapon. Because the special weapons in Destiny 1, it used to be you'd have a primary, which are those gun types I just explained, except submachine guns didn't exist, and sidearms were specials. The special slot was sidearms, fusion rifles, shotguns, and sniper rifles. And they were basically better. They were better than your primary weapons, but you'd have more limited ammo, and they'd have more specialized use cases. Just a bunch of stuff like that. Like a bunch of like special scenarios that you'd use them. And then heavy weapons were rocket launchers, machine guns, swords. So now you basically get two primaries, but one primary has a burn on it, and then everything else is in the heavy slot. Which there's a couple scenarios where I really don't like it for, but having played with it, I like it a lot more than I expected to. Especially because all of the stuff in the heavy weapon slot feels like a heavy weapon now. Like, power weapons feel powerful, where in the beta they kind of didn't.
Welcome back. This time I did make tea for you, but I seem to have drunk it all.
I like Devrim.
Perhaps if you were a mite quicker. Right, the beacon. While you were tussling with the Fallen, we've encountered a bit of a setback.
Right.
Hawthorne has placed the last relay on the mountain above the salt mines. But
time to go to the salt mines! Gonna get trapped in the salt mines.
Regardless, this signal booster should solve our problem. Get it. Dead zone indeed.
Dead zone indeed. I like Devrim. I like most of the new characters in this game. There's one notable exception that I don't think we'll get today. I hate that guy. He's awful. He's just the absolute worst. Sorry. I've got some Skittles over here, and also I need to drink every now and then. Very, very thirsty. I'm used to talking a lot. I'm not really used to talking so much for so long, so consistently. I'm going to try and get to Nessus, which is the... If we're counting Earth as the first planet, Nessus is the third planet. I'm going to try and get there. Okay, so this is a fusion rifle. Because, well, you know what a shotgun is. You know what a sniper rifle is. Fusion rifles are unique to Destiny, and they are my favorite gun type. The only downside to this system is that I really liked having a fusion ready to go pretty much at any time, which I can't really do here in Destiny 2, because I need it needs to be a lot more situational when I pick it. But what a fusion rifle does, there is a charge up time where you can do this, and then it does an upward sort of a... I'll fire from the hip so it's a little more clearly illustrative of what's happening.
Dev, still sitting up here above the mines with his busted comm relay. Where's that signal booster?
Our new Guardian friend is en route. I'm getting too old to clean up after you, Soraya.
Finally, he admits he's old. Bailed me out on one assault charge and he never let me live it down.
Ah, don't you mean one a week? You're the reason my hair is gray.
Yeah, keep talking.
This kind of banter between like two other people on your radio is something that was sorely missing from Destiny 1. By the time they did Rise of Iron, and Taken King really is where the big pivot is, because that's you get Cade 6 and Eris Morn in your ear pretty much the whole time, and I like having characters that can play off of each other, that have stuff to say and stuff to do, especially if you're going to be a silent protagonist, like you are for most of Destiny 1. Like the original vanilla game, your character talks sometimes. Hang on a second, my phone's ringing. This will probably get edited out. Hey, Mom, what's up? Nope. Tomorrow, I'm just gonna, like, if I can't find them tonight, just go with me to, like, Lowe's or Home Depot and they're somewhere in the house. I'll see you later. You guys couldn't hear that, but my camera started, not a camera, my controller started vibrating as soon as they started shooting me, and that is what alerted me to me being murdered. Alright. Let's get this elevator.
We'll have to find another way up to Hawthorne.
That's such a stupid joke. Such a stupid...
Scavengers of the highest order. They're going to put up a fight for whatever they can get their grubby claws on.
The amount of effort that went into that joke is... like, just think about the design doc for the, like, having to make the game of just like, alright, I need you to put a button here, and I need you to have an animation of the elevator coming down and crashing, and stuff around it being damaged by it. Just like, that's... that level of attention that they're now paying to it is something, was absolutely vacant from Destiny 1, and affected the Taken King and Rise of Iron somewhat negatively. Because pretty much the entirety of Destiny 1's lifespan is just dealing with the problems of... Okay, great. Physics bugs still here. Still... Alright. I feel good about this. God. Just... Alright. This area is a bit of a pain, but... You know, I haven't actually used the class ability yet. I'll demonstrate. So, fusion rifles have this sort of upward kick, so you need to control the recoil a bit. I was better at it in Destiny 1, because it kicks very differently in this. It's still mostly vertical, but the problem that I have with it is more that the beginning of the kick is not as strong as the end of the kick. So I'm having a little bit of trouble like compensating. But also this is a particularly weak fusion rifle, and I'm also a little bit distracted. All this talking that I'm doing. Man, I'm very distracted. Man, this is gonna be, like, real embarrassing for me just in the long run, because I am... Hey guys, I promise I'm very good at this game. It's just... boy. Boy, oh boy. Alright, so let me talk a bit about the Fallen, because I've got some stuff to say about the Fallen. Their presence in the first game was mainly as just, like, scavengers and, like, basically just add-ons to the main campaign. The House of Wolves was the big expansion they got that expanded upon, like, their role and stuff. So, the biggest and most, like, in the lore of Destiny, in the world, there was a battle for the last city called the Battle of Twilight Gap, which was basically all of the fallen houses uniting and deciding, we're gonna take the last city. Let's all get together, every one of us unites, we're gonna do this. We're gonna move in, we're gonna take it. Because even though there are tons of Guardians, like, as we saw with the Cabal, there's a lot of civilians in there. Like, it is mostly a city. And there is a lot of stuff to be had. And also, if they can take the last city, then they could get to the Traveler, and that is the overall goal of what the Fallen want, because they want to reclaim their great machine. So, the Battle of Twilight Gap was this combined frontal assault of just all of the fallen houses. Devils, Kings, I think Judgment sat out of it, if I recall correctly. But Skolas and the House of Wolves would have been basically would have been the deciding force that turns the tide in the battle. And the way the Fallen think that it went down is that Skolas betrayed them to the Guardians, or like just basically said, yeah, I'll give the support, absolutely, I will totally be there, guys, and then just never showed up. What actually happened is there is another in the solar system's meteor belt, like around. There's an asteroid belt in the solar system past Mars that is sort of. I've heard it described as like a linebacker for dangerous solar stuff in our system, like me as an actual human being saying in our real solar system. So in in Destiny there is amid the asteroid belt there is also sort of a basically a wreckage belt of ships for during the exodus from Earth when humanity was trying to escape whatever had befallen upon Earth in the great attacks of the Fallen and the Darkness or whatever. During the collapse, essentially, a bunch of ships had been destroyed and sort of formed like a secondary asteroid belt. And among that is called the Reef, and it is where the Awoken are. I'm currently playing in an Awoken, because there are humans. There are Exo, which seem to be humans at some point basically transfer their consciousness into robotic bodies. They don't seem to have any biological components as far as I'm aware. Like, they don't seem to be brains in robots, they just seem to be robots. But there is some stuff that very concretely establishes in Destiny 2 that they were once humans. Where it was mainly just implied in Destiny 1. And Awoken are basically space elves. Zavala is one of them that you saw in the opening cutscene. They're like bluish skinned. They have... Some of them seem to have some innate powers, like some sort of innate powers that are not related to the light, like psionics or something like that. But it's a little fuzzy. But basically, at some point, they were humans who went beyond the Reef and were transformed by some force. It's not really clear. Nobody knows. Like, in universe, no one that your character has contact to knows, and I don't believe the Grimoire hints at what actually awoke them, or why they're called the Awoken. But I'm actually playing one right now. But the Reef is basically inhabited entirely by the Awoken, and they have a queen that runs the Reef. In Destiny 1, basically she was like, hey... Basically what happened... Sorry, I'm stumbling over this a bit. During the Battle of Twilight Gap, the Queen of the Reef stopped the advance of the House of Wolves towards the battle, basically stopping them from joining, breaking them apart, and taking Skolas, the leader of the House of Wolves, captive, and putting him in their prison, which they refer to as the Prison of Elders. So the other Fallen think that Skolas betrayed them, and he didn't. He just got captured. Because the Queen is some serious shit. She has, like, she absolutely has magic. Because she is definitely not a Guardian, but she is, like, there is a cutscene in the opening for The Taken King where she is, like, weaving some, like, grand spells that I don't understand, and to my, don't really get referenced. I don't understand. Even in Taken King, where it's very good about it, there's a lot of stuff that Taken King assumes you know and takes for granted that I didn't know, because the game is very bad at conveying it. Alright. Alright. So these are all Fallen. These little robots are things that they make to help them, they're all scavengers. So the Shanks are little robots they make to help them scavenge. Those big balls, servitors, are, Fallen feed on ether, which is... There's real stuff called ether, but they feed on, like, an imaginary fake ether that also, you've noticed how some of them are very small and some of them are big, and there's, like, those couple captains that are much bigger. The more ether that a Fallen can consume, the bigger they can become physically. Like, they just get big. They just get swole. They just huff ether all day and just get as huge as they want to. I'm not sure we'll see any in this campaign, but there are some that are truly just, like, unreasonably large. Servitors are like a leftover machinery from the Golden Age of the Fallen, when the Traveler actually was still with them, that harvest ether from stuff for them. And large, like, prime servitors, they kind of worship as, like, deities, because basically, they had, as the Traveler, to them, the Great Machine, is a big servitor. It's just the biggest servitor that ever there was. And it would give them life, it would bring them back to glory, and all of these servitors are sort of, I don't know if they're something they had before the Traveler, or if they were made in the Traveler's image. I'm a little fuzzy on that. I think it would be reasonable to say that they were made in the Traveler's image. I'd have to double check that. I loved it. I'm sorry I keep using this, but it's very good.
Hawthorne, we're out of the mine and heading your way.
Then hurry up with that booster. Let's finish hooking up the comm network. And,
Oh.
thanks for the help. You're not so bad. For a fancy pants guardian.
Now that's the nicest thing I've ever heard Suraya say.
I can't believe I just fell off the mountain. I just fell off the mountain. This game is so pretty. I would love to play this on PC, running at 60, because I've seen stuff and it looks gorgeous. I just don't have a computer that can run it at the moment. Hopefully I can build one before the end of the year. That would be a very nice thing to do, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I really don't think that's gonna happen. It's like, Cabal ships off in the distance. That is a Cabal base that you can go to, I believe. I think that's the fire base. Because there's the EDZ down there with, like, Devrim stuff. There's the Shard of the Traveler. There's that spooky forest. So this is all, like, fake rendered versions of it, but all of this, like, here's the thing in Destiny 1, is that the skyboxes were all, like, gorgeous. But there was stuff in the distance of the skyboxes that were way more interesting looking than the stuff you'd actually go to, but you couldn't go to them. At least for the EDZ here, so far, everything I've seen in the skybox is a place I can go. Like, these are fake rendered versions of it to, like, cover for that, but these are all
You made it.
places that you can go right now.
Looks like
My Guardian looks good in the cutscenes. She looks nice.
All right. Let's see if this works. Now, if I read the manual right, there's an incoming beacon.
Guardians, the city is lost. If there is any light left in the system, we rally on Titan. Be brave. Guardians.
Zavala's alive.
So Zavala is the Titan Vanguard. He is the representative of the Titan class. And it is really funny to me that they put the Titan on Titan. And I really hope that, like, that was a thing they did accidentally. Because it would be really, like, actually no, either way.
Is gone.
It would be very funny either way if, they got, like, a couple, like, weeks or months into, like, the design doc of putting Zavala on Titan. And then we're like, hey, we put the Titan on Titan. Oh, we put the Titan on Titan. Oh, But also, if the concept was like, hey, what planets should we have in this game? Can we do Titan? Yeah, let's put the Zavala on there so we can have a Titan on Titan. Like, if that was also, like, either option is good. Either option is very good, honestly. So I'm going to try and clear Titan, and at least land on Nessus. Because Nessus has the Vex, and I love the Vex.
It would save us both a lot of time if you would just kill me.
For one who calls himself Speaker, you have remarkably little to say.
That's the funniest line in this game to me. The Speaker said nothing in the first game. He was the least talkative NPC. You had no reason to talk to him.
Listen. Help me understand, Speaker.
The light lives in all places, in all things. You can block it, even try to trap it, but the light will find its way. And and the Traveler will protect itself.
The Traveler. For years I have studied it. The worlds it has touched. Its power over life and death. We are not so different. Your Traveler and I.
That's a good take on this line.
Nothing. You think you have power, control. I know your kind. You started small. You will end small.
If the Traveler truly has chosen humanity of its own free will, then there is no reason I should not reach inside, tear at the light for myself, and leave this system in ashes.
Only those the Traveler chooses will be reborn in light.
Yes. This I know. This is why I have claimed your planet, and why you still live. The Traveler will choose me, Speaker. And you are going to tell me how.
I actually really like Gaul. Like, by the end of this campaign, like, he's got some stuff. Like, I feel like he's like, they could have done more, but I really feel like they flesh him out as a character in a way they kind of really don't. Like, just a lot of the other, like, villains and stuff in the series. Because basically, the antagonist of Destiny 1, the base game, is the darkness. Okay. The gist of Destiny 1, writ large, is you wake up as a Guardian, you see a bunch of stuff, you find out about the Vex are bad news, you do a bunch of things to go to the Vex to stop the Vex from doing a thing. And it's really unclear what that thing is, just that it's bad, and that it's using the darkness. So the final boss fight of Destiny 1 is a big, like, black ball of darkness that is, like, resurrecting giant, like, Vex statues of giant robots to fight you, and it's kind of cool, but, like, I don't know why anything, and it's just very unclear.
What's the word?
So that just and the ending of Destiny 1's story is this one character in Destiny 1, the Stranger, who is an Exo, appears to be Hunter. She's maybe a Guardian. It's unclear. She is basically just walking around telling you, like, hey, you're pretty good. Help me, because the Vex... You think these guys are, like, tough? No, the Vex are super strong. And basically just walks around a bunch telling you, like, oh, the Vex are super strong, though. They're so strong. Blah, 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 blah. You think this is... The Hive are bad? No, the Vex are way worse. And there's a line in Destiny 1 that is maybe the most infuriated I've ever been with a game, where it just says, the exact line is, your character asks her to explain herself, and the line is, I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain. And I am positive, like, in retrospect, that line is hilarious to me. After, like, 2-3 hours of not understanding what the story of Destiny 1 was, it was the most infuriating thing I've experienced. So, just, like, the end of Destiny 1's campaign is you defeat the darkness, and then there's a big, like, end of Star Wars A New Hope medal ceremony for you beating the darkness, I guess. And then the Stranger, the Exo Stranger, talks to you and is like, hey, you did good. Here's a gun. Good job. And that's the end of the campaign. And it's terrible. It's really bad. And then after that, there is the Vault of Glass raid, which is some of the best and most interesting content. Like, the raids in Destiny are some of the best stuff I've ever played in video games. Like, just flat out, I adore them. The Vault of Glass is comparatively simple, but it is just it is, like, magical going through it the first time. And you go to the Vault of Glass and you defeat Atheon times Conflux, who is like a big Vex that is doing something to the time stream. And that's the thing, is that even in Destiny 1, there's not even context for what the Vault of Glass is, for who Atheon is. You get no context for the raid, you just do it. The Dark Below is the second one, which is the Battle of Burning Lake that I referenced earlier, of the Hive and their knights first coming for the moon and the big battle and the swords that could actually kill Guardians. The Hive worshipped a god called Crota, and Crota basically came with his armies to conquer the moon. And a bunch of Guardians went up to try and, retake the moon, or, stop the Hive from coming down to Earth, and died in the process, and Crota killed hundreds of Guardians personally himself. So the Dark Below is one of the Guardians who was on the raid fire team that tried to kill Crota, returns from the moon after maybe, hundreds of years? It's unclear. Eris Morn comes back and is like, hey, Crota, we gotta go kill Crota. And it's just like, no. We need to go kill Crota, and that is the plot of Dark Below. And it's like, Crota killed hundreds of Guardians, he's dead, we killed him, but he's not super dead, we have to kill him for real this time, you're gonna go up, you're gonna kill him, you're gonna end this. Get revenge for me, it's clear, it's simple, it works well. And it feels like you have reason and understanding for why you are doing what you are doing. The Taken King is adding onto that, because Oryx is a greater god of the Hive, and explicitly Crota's father. And Oryx has come to town because he's mad that you killed his son. And honestly, the Taken King is some of my favorite stuff. I honestly ran the King's Fall raid to kill Oryx probably 200 times over the course of about a year.
Vanguard fleet, Guardian ship 723 is on approach. We received your beacon and we're ready to join the fight.
Guardian ship, this is Zavala. It's too late.
So this is also why I'm talking about the Hive, because the Hive are here.
I was wrong to bring us here.
So I'm going to finish this planet, and then I think I will be slightly too low level to go on to Nessus. So I will save that for next week, and I can probably do almost all of the remaining campaign next week. I'll see how this goes.
No, we've already lost too many lightless Guardians to the Hive. We can't secure this moon.
We have our light back.
What? Impossible.
Commander, if I may. Guardian, this is Deputy Commander Sloan. We have a counter-offensive
This planet is so good. I should spend more time on Titan. This is a very good planet.
Guardians to arm and a trove of intercepted Red Legion transmissions to decrypt. It's critical we gain
So I don't know where it is, but somewhere in the water there is very clearly a very large something that is very clearly alive. I can't remember where it actually is. I'll look that up for next week, and I'll find it if I can before we go. But it is very big, and it is very cool, but it's basically just like a shadow with maybe a bit of a fin sticking up. And it might be nothing, it might be just window dressing, but it is real cool looking. It is real look at this, I love this. Because it's a water planet, but it's very clearly not water. It's like a thick, viscous fluid. So just there's rolling waves of it. It's really nice. This is a really cool area. And then also you have a... Alright. And now we get to meet the Hive. The Hive are cool, but I gotta be honest. I killed their king. I killed their king 200 times. I killed half of their pantheon. I'm pretty good on the Hive. I don't need more Hive. Where the... There we go. I don't really need more Hive. Also, the Hive in this look a little silly. I mean,
was this place?
It depends on which ones, but
Cities of Titan were once the pride of humanity. We thought they were abandoned, but I was a fool to think the Hive would not spread this far.
I have a bad feeling
So these are basic Thrall, which are a little too strong for me. Okay, you know what? See, that's why I like fusion rifles. That's what I want a fusion rifle to have. So let's equip some of this. Oh, Okay. Still a little low. Recommended 50 for this area, but... So a neat feature of this... Man, this music's really good. So let me actually show you that, no, I don't need it now. You know what? I'm gonna try and go through this a little faster than I've been going through past it. Oh! Going through past areas to just try and get to these missions. Because this area ends on a very, very cool mission that I would very much like to show you.
At this rate, we can start planning our counteroffensive. We'll be outside the city gates in no time.
So these are acolytes rather than thrall. They get guns instead of just being charging masses. They look at all of the enemies in Destiny 2 are of different types than they were in Destiny 1. So everybody looks a little bit different. Like the Fallen is a different house, so they have different banners and they have different outfits. This is a different strain or breed of the Hive, so they all have different shapes and stuff. That was actually an interesting thing about Destiny 1 is that basically depending on which planet you were on, the Fallen were on multiple planets, the Hive were in a couple of different areas, the Cabal were basically just on Mars, and also a little bit in the Taken King expansion area, the Dreadnought. The Vex were on Venus, Mars, and there's a different area on Mars that they were also in. Basically, every area that you found a group of enemies was generally represented by a different type of enemy. Like, it was all the same, like, you'd still be fighting, for example, if you're fighting the Hive, you'd still be fighting Thralls, Acolytes, and Knights, but they would be different colors, their helmets would be different shapes, there would be different texturing patterns on them. Like, there's like 6 or 7 different, like, models for different varieties of Vex in Destiny 1, and I love it, but it seems super unnecessary, and maybe effort that could have been better spent on any number of things that they didn't end up doing well in that game. Okay. You can see how much this area can just run through. Because this was a problem with a lot of Destiny 1 mission design, is that there would be areas that were designed as like fight encounters, but would not actually have anything stopping you from just running past it and ignoring it. So now, here is our first knight, who I think these look way sillier than they did in Destiny 1. Their helmets are a lot bigger and more outward here, and also they have these crossbows. So I'm gonna die. I'm a little outclassed right here. Because this is recommended 50 and I'm 37. Generally speaking, I would have done a couple of those adventures on the European Dead Zone and gone forward from there. But I'm very excited to get to the end of Titan. I will do some off-screen leveling to just make sure that I'm properly leveled for the rest of the campaign next time I go around. Because I'm planning to only do the main campaign and maybe a couple adventures here and there. So I will just save a couple of those. Just to give you some good content. I just very much want to get to the archaeology mission in this, because it is some of the best stuff that this game has to offer in terms of visuals, and is just something that the first Destiny was missing in a lot of it was Halo was very good about like set pieces, like basically areas that you were running through as an environment of like, here is an environment for you to mess around with, or like, here is a vehicle for you to drive through this section to make, like, feel the size and scope of the area that you're in. And Destiny 1 as the base game wasn't very good about that. Taken King was a lot better about it. there isn't really a lot of bespoke content that you don't see, you only see once. And my Arc Strider. Yeah. Just running through as it slowly burns down.
I shudder to think what spell the Hive were casting back there. We should talk to Eris more.
Yeah, say Eris.
Which Hive god they were communing with.
No one has seen Eris, or Icor, or Cade, since the city fell.
All right. So here's a grenade launcher. The fun thing about this is if you play this mission with another person, another grenade launcher spawns over here, and they also get the grenade launcher. I think it's only the first time that you go through this, because you can't actually reselect a mission again, as in the current build of the game, which is odd, frankly. No. Oh, come on. Come on, game. Don't do that to me. Don't drop gear too good for me to use right now. Come on. Come on, don't do that to me. Okay, 4D is better. So, the grenade launcher is also a new type of weapon in this game that I really don't like. I think they're bad. They feel piddly, and it feel like look at that. It killed those other two thrall. It didn't kill that third thrall. They just feel piddly, and it just feels very difficult to hit anything in a way that is like good. Like there are a couple that I found that are okay because they have differences of how like let's see what this one is. For example, fires a slower grenade projectile that bounces, hold R2 to fire, release to detonate. When I get more ammo, I'll try and demonstrate that. I don't feel like that, let go of it for it to detonate. I don't feel like that works well for the grenade launchers. Actually, no, that fusion rifle I have is pretty good. I'll switch back to that. See, here's a sidearm, and they just absolutely wreck. I want to get, similar to that one that was in the opening mission, the one that was a 3-round burst sidearm, I really want one of those that are good. Because I really like that as a... There was an exotic, there was an exotic sidearm in Destiny 1 that, did that had a 3-round burst, but it was only the exotic gun, that wasn't an archetype of gun that existed elsewhere. Because that was a neat feature of a lot of these guns, is that there's a lot of personality even to what are technically... There are generic weapons, but there are also just a lot of weapons that are not at all generic. I should have a good example of that.
We made it, Sloan.
Perfect. Recon the perimeter before you move on the control center.
Okay, let me change these boots out. Change this out. I'm gonna switch back to this for now. So just here's as an example. This is just a generic gun. It is a fusion rifle, and it is a specific fusion rifle. It's the Nox Rev 2. In the dark of night we dream of the light's return. But this over here, the Penumbra GSM, okay, I guess it's not. Huh. I guess I need to wait until I get higher. See, the thing is, there are... here we go. This is a good example. This gun is from Weist. So there are foundries that are in-game companies that represent, these are gun manufacturers in the universe. And a Weist gun, the first game mainly had Suros, Hake, and Omelon. I feel like there was a fourth one, but I don't really... nothing comes to mind. Whereas, basically each of the guns, a Hake shotgun will feel different than, an Omelon shotgun, or Omelon didn't have a shotgun in the first one, but a Hake pulse rifle would feel different than an Omelon pulse rifle. Is that there would be something about it that would be, a notable aspect or fact that is to give it, the gun personality. Weist weapons, for example, are all incredibly fast firing. I have an auto rifle on a different... For example, is this a... So this is a Suros. Adaptive frame, well-rounded grip, reliable and sturdy. But just Weist weapons fire a lot faster than other counterparts of them. If I get another sidearm, I can demonstrate, but Like, this fires a lot faster. There's the Viced auto rifle that you can get is an absurd bullet hose. Hake weapons tend to have more kick and, like, more, like, just individual punch to them. As a good example, Hake pulse rifles in Destiny 1, all pulse rifles had 3 shots. Hake pulse rifles would have 4 shots per burst. So, like, an auto rifle has that. I can just do 1 shot, or I can hold down the trigger and do this. A pulse rifle, I described this earlier, but just as another example. 1 pull of the trigger is 3 bullets. So Hake pulse rifles in the first game would fire 4 bullets. So their clips and magazines would be like sized and scaled to more easily reflect that. And just like there's personality to the weapons. For example, Obalon weapons all use like liquid fuel and are like plasma rounds, and it's really, really cool. I'll show off a couple cool things when I'm doing the Crucible mission after I finish Titan. Well, not Crucible mission. I'll demonstrate some stuff so you can see some of the cool endgame stuff. Because right now I'm just running through the campaign, but I would very much like to show you some of the really good stuff. All right, where am I going? Around. Okay, so just enemies. Where are they? They below? Oh. Okay, so the other side of this wall. Ah! This! Right.
Like we're standing in some kind of hive breeding ground.
Take it out.
I love how disgusted Zavala sounds by this. He's like, get rid of it. I want it gone. Okay, you know what? This is not a bad time for it. Oh, it pops them, huh? I mean, it would, but that's funny. See, this is also like a bit... This is a bit grosser than the Hive usually are. Not in terms of visual appearance, but just because, you know what? No, that's a lie. That's a huge lie. The Dreadnought was disgusting. There's not usually like gross fluid-filled sacks. It's usually a lot more of this like a barnacle growth sort of thing. Like this sort of like a scub, like that they kind of have building up. Oh. Thanks, Ghost. Never would have found those. There's a lot of features in Destiny 2 that are very clearly... just
cleared the nest. Heading to the control center now.
Are very, very clearly for new players, which is fine. I like accessibility like that. In fact, the dialogue options changing depending on if you're a new player or a returning veteran, like automatically. I think that's really cool. I think that's a really good feature. I would like to be able to like maybe toggle that to see some of those, but that's just me being like a crazy person on this. I need to get new grenades. I'm not a fan of the skip grenades. Is that the grenade launcher? I don't want that. Am I stuck? Oh, there we go. Unstuck myself. Man, I'm going through this a lot slower than I remember. Buddy. Buddy, friends. Okay. Am I killing all of these, or can I just go? I think I can just go. Alright, let me stop and check the menu quickly, because let's see. Can't get it yet. Great, cool. What can I get? Flux grenade, that's better. And strafe jump. Here we go. These are the ones they want me to kill. So, flux grenades, they're a lot worse than they were in Destiny 1, but they are stickies. See, like, even at this low level, like, that's not a one-hit kill. It used to be that you could tag someone with a sticky grenade in a multiplayer, and that would just be, unless they were a Titan with maxed out armor or were in the middle of their super, tagging with a sticky grenade was a death sentence. You'd just be gone. You'd be done. You'd be done. Because you're stuck, there's nothing you can do. I saw that some people, there's like a teleport dodge that some, Shade Step that I mentioned for the Hunter earlier would not get you out of it, but there is a jump called a Blink that Hunters and Warlocks could do on certain subclasses that was basically just a short-range teleport. And I saw some people saying, and I saw, I think, one instance of you could blink out of a grenade that was stuck to you if you timed it properly. Because I think what you were doing is you weren't technically blinking the grenade off of you, you were blinking as the grenade detonated, so you weren't stuck to the grenade as it detonated, so you didn't get the grenades do more damage if they're stuck to you. So you wouldn't, because you're teleporting at the right time, it wouldn't be stuck to you as it detonates, so you would receive less damage. But that was, I hate Blink. I never liked Blink at all.
Sloan, Commander, it's done.
Copy that. Zavala and I are inbound.
See, all this moving up to 50-50. Come on. Alright, so I need to get to 5, and I can get this stuff open. So if I recall, there's 2 missions on this planet, otherwise.
We're approaching the landing platform. Get up here and take a bow.
All right. This is a really pretty area. I really like this. I'm personally bored with the Hive.
I didn't dare believe. If the light can find its way back to you, then perhaps there's hope for us all. Our numbers will continue to dwindle. We can no longer protect ourselves, much less the survivors. Without the light, are we even Guardians anymore?
Commander.
Won't last long with dead generators. Wave energy converters power this station, but thanks to the Hive, they're in need of attention.
We can take care of it.
Yes, I believe you can.
Okay. So, I'm thinking about it. I think I'm going to call it on the campaign bit of it right here for now. Oh, yeah. No, that's Zavala. I love Zavala. Zavala is voiced by Lance Reddick, who, I forget who he was on The Wire, because I haven't watched The Wire. But, okay.
Commander Zavala tells me you volunteered. I'll run tactical. Shipwright Holiday here will provide tech support.
Okay.
It's a straightforward op. Get in, flip a switch, get out. Sloan's got a way of making things sound easy, doesn't she?
You know what? Nah. So, okay. I'm gonna swap over to, I'll do more of the campaign next time. For now, because I'm running out of steam a little bit. So I'm gonna swap over to my Titan and demo some of the cool stuff that I have on my character. To end this on a strong note. Actually, do I want to demo my Titan or my Warlock? The Titan is stronger, but let's go with the Warlock, actually. Because that stuff is probably going to play a bit better, I think. Just pulling stuff. I have an item manager on my computer, to just pull stuff out of the vault to put in other characters, because that is a lot quicker than worrying about this otherwise. So, let me head down to Nessus, so I can actually show you this very cool planet. And also, a friend. Let's head to this... Where's a public event? That's probably fine. This will be a good chance to demo stuff. Oh, and I never showed off the Sparrow! Oh, I completely forgot. I'll have to do that now. Oh my god, are you serious? No. That's silly. Okay. You telling me that I can't? Of course I can. All right. All right. So sparrows are basically little land speeders that you get at the end of the campaign. They were basically the first thing you got at the beginning of Destiny 1 to traverse the area a lot quicker. But they kind of hold off on them in this one just so that you can go through areas a lot slower. Alright, so I got... Alright, so let me head over to this public event. Come on. There we go. No, let's go to this one. That one's gonna start in a couple... it's starting in 3 minutes. This one will be ready by the time I'm there. So here is my Sparrow. And I love this Sparrow. This came out of one of the boxes, one of the Bright Engrams, which again are the paid boxes, but you can get a bunch of them for free. I got this one out of a free one. So this is the normal speed. Injection rig, okay.
Alert. Incoming Cabal construct. 85% probability of intelligence-related objective.
So this is a lot faster than my walking speed. However, nobody rides a Sparrow like this. They ride a Sparrow like this. This exotic Sparrow that came out of the box has these jet flares as the bonus on it. It's not normally how they structure out. Because it's normally just a little plain thing, but I love how this thing looks.
They won't collect any intel here.
Okay, so Sturm is good, but it's not a good example. What can I show? Let's go with Nightshade. No, let's go with the hand cannon, and let's go with Cold Heart. So Cold Heart is a trace rifle, which so far is a unique gun in... Oh, okay. Oh, jeez. Which so far is a unique gun in Destiny 2. It's supposed to be a pre-order bonus, or if you buy it digitally, or... I'm unclear. It's unclear. But what it does is the longer you hold it on a target, the more damage it does. So it builds up over time with this. As soon as it leaves the target, it stops doing that, though. So it's fairly good for boss damage. Not the best, but it's fairly good. Also, here's a sword. I got a sword. I couldn't ask for a better result on that. So the way this public event is supposed to go is basically just kill all the enemies, and at some point there will be a stronger enemy. But also there's these vents open up, and if you can destroy all of the vents, you get a harder version of that final boss with better rewards. So let's see if I can get the numbers. So, like, search at 45. Ah, because it has crit. It does have a crit shot. Oh, I have to keep that in mind. I thought it was like a fusion rifle and didn't have a crit. Okay. So, Hard Light. Hard Light is an old friend from Destiny 1. So, Hard Light, a unique... you can change it to any of the 3 damage types, but the actual thing that it is known for is that it over-penetrates all of its targets and all of the rounds ricochet. So if you can do this in enclosed areas, it just becomes like a little laser swarm, and it is delightful. I love it. It is so much fun. It just seems a lot more useful and a lot more, like, stable than it was in Destiny 1. Because you can just, you can go in here quick, although you shouldn't really do this, this is bad habits, and just change it to any other damage type. So now it's shooting void rounds. So here is a thing that my Voidwalker can do. You'll notice my super bar in the corner is going down. I am charging a grenade so it is stronger. That one was a little underwhelming because the best part about the scatter grenade is if it kills something, they explode with void damage. So if you get that into a cluster of enemies, you kill one, that one explodes, and then that extra damage kills another one, and it just chains explosions. It's really good. So what can I show? Let me see if I can do something with this.
They're running.
As a consequence of your involvement, the Cabal have acquired no information of value, augmenting my estimate of your capabilities.
Oh, here's heavy. Okay. So you saw in the opening scene Ikora with the Nova Bomb. That's the class that I'm running right now. So I'm going to... Oh, there's a... Well, let's head over here and help these guys out. See, the ability to see, hey, there's a public event over there. That's such... It's just so... It's not revolutionary. It's just such a quality of life change for this game. It's so nice. Okay. So there is something that I wanted to show off, which is this fusion rifle called Merciless, which is it's an exotic fusion rifle, and it is one of my new favorite guns in this game. I found it, I started using it, I love it. Well, I didn't find it. I bought it, which after this public event, I will show you how I bought it. So this public event... Oh, this person also has Merciless. You know, they know what's up. Yeah, you know what's up. Chest. Ah, messed that up. Actually, no, let's... Here. The Nova Bomb is so good. It's just such a delight. I want to get more heavy ammo, though, if I can. Sorry, power ammo. So the actual goal of this event is just control this one spot. But basically, you just want to be on this and override the lander and stay in this white zone down here. The heroic version of this, though, is irrelevant to that, mostly. After it gets to a certain percentage of controlled, or a certain time, I forget which. Because Destiny 2 has a lot of stuff that is new to me. Ah, Stormcaller. Okay, where is it? I hear it. I hear it. There it is. So, the heroic version of this event is, you want to destroy this ship. So actually, I know what I can do. Shit. Okay. So it didn't go that... We did get it, but I didn't get to demonstrate the thing that I wanted to. So I'll be able to do that now, I think. Which is, where is the excavation Valis? There's a little boss that's going to show up now. Okay. So where is... Here he goes. Okay, so what this does is that if... Now, let me do it quick. So with every shot that doesn't kill... Oh. Thanks, buddy. Thanks. Give it a second. Where's the bounding box? Oh, wow, he's really going down there. Man, oh man! He is falling a long way. There we go. So that counts. I'm going to demonstrate this gun before I leave if it kills me. Because I love Merciless. It's really, really good.
Huh. They'd rather blow up equipment than let us take it. These Cabal don't have a lot of faith in us, do they?
Yeah, the only problem with Merciless is that you kind of need a strong enemy to demonstrate it on. Let's see if there is another public event that I could run over to. Oh, hey, convenient. Watcher's Grave. Okay. I think there might be something to do it on this. So the thing with Merciless is that it is a fusion rifle, and as you've seen, those have charge-up times. What makes Merciless special is that if you don't kill with Merciless, if your shot does not kill the target, then the next shot charges faster, and that stacks. So by the time you're on the 4th shot, if you're emptying the magazine, it can be like, there's basically no charge time at all. It's lovely. It is great for boss DPS. Spire integration. Okay, so this might be not ideal, but I can probably make something work here. So I also like the harder versions of these public events. That basically just, there is some other criteria you have to meet to make it harder, and then get some better rewards. It's just a mechanic that I like. For example, this Conflux here. The Vex will run to it and try and sacrifice themselves to it. Okay. And we need to stop that. But also, we need to control these plates. I think they spawn more over time. So let me get in with this person over here to help it go faster. Because these usually... it definitely captures faster if you have more than one person doing it. Because that was the case in Destiny 1. But I just wanted to make sure it still carried over to this. Because this method of control doesn't really... Because controlling plates, it doesn't really see... no, it's going pretty fast still. Maybe it's just how many people we have involved in it. I don't know. There's a lot of mechanics that I'm not clear on in Destiny 2 yet. The game's been out for a week and change. There we go. Next plate. Okay, just gotta wait for like a nice yellow bar to really demonstrate this gun. And then I'm gonna call it, and we'll just do more of the story next time. Every enemy race that isn't like humans, all of them can just teleport. They can just teleport. Like, why do we bother with walls? They can just teleport everywhere. The Vex, very much their deal is time. I can't believe it's taken me this long to actually talk about the Vex. I love the Vex. The concept of the Vex, as I understand it, is that they are massively, massively ancient to the point where they predate the universe. And the only way that seems possible from what, like, can be, basically figured out in universe is that the reason that they are able to predate the universe is because they have gone back to the start of the universe multiple times and basically just existed out the entire lifespan of the universe, improving themselves over time. And then when they get to, like, the heat death of the universe or, like, some other stopping point of something, they just go back to the start and do it again. And the goal is to improve themselves to such an extent to go back to the actual formation of the universe, like go back to the Big Bang, and insert like the Vex consciousness into the formation of the universe, so that the entire universe was, and always will be Vex, completely and utterly. And I think that's real good and real cool for villains. So I was talking over that, but you did see Merciless, just like the longer it fired, it just got faster and faster until there was basically no charge time. I love this gun. It's really good. So let's finish up this public event, and then I will call it. So let's demonstrate this again. This is a red bar, so it's not going to go. It's going to go down much quicker. See, 2 shots. So that killed it, so that resets the timer. Wait, where is that? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it was one of the Minotaurs. Okay. I thought it was one of the stationary turrets. Hi there. Look at that! That's great! I love the Nova Bomb. It's my favorite. See, we did slip a little bit. 2 Vex got in. All right.
network intelligences. Vex are not capable of digestion.
All right.
Yeah, thanks. Eat that anyway. Inorganic networked intelligences.
All right. Good times, folks. Good times. So I will be doing this again, probably same time next week, 1 p.m. on Saturday. I will see you guys then. Thank you for sticking around. I loved doing this. I loved doing this a lot. This is definitely hard on my voice. I'm not used to this, so I can't do it daily. I will see you guys next week. Have a good weekend, guys.